The latest incendiary suggestion from Donald Trump that he might try to delay the election highlights some of the real challenges for democracy in the US this year and some of the worrying pressures in this contest. I'll come to those in a moment, but for the real context, you have to go back to the last election in 2016. Trump said the campaign was rigged against him. The Democrats suggested he would refuse to accept the result. And when he was asked to promise that he'd accept the result, he refused to play along.
I would like to promise and pledge to all of my voters and supporters and to all of the people of the United States that I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election if I win.
Who would have thunk it, hey? Now, the Democrats and their media barrackers, who were confident they were going to win, they made sure this was another avenue for attack against Trump.
By doing that, he is threatening our democracy. He is basically saying, hey, we've been around 240 years, and we've always had peaceful transitions, no matter who won or who lost.
Accepting the result, a peaceful transition? Here's how America looked in the hours and days after Trump won. Yeah, the protests went nationwide and Clinton and her supporters complained about the Electoral College and shrank off into the shadows to start cooking up the Russiagate conspiracy while Barack Obama was still running the show. And then around the inauguration, the protests started again and celebrities showed us just how graciously the left had accepted the result.
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Extraordinary stuff. Remember the backlash, the threats of violence, the threats to leave the country, and even a comedian who posed with holding a fake severed head of the president. When Kathy Griffin was called out for that grotesque attack, so typical of these people, she portrayed herself as the real victim.
Happening to me has never happened, ever, in the history of this great country, which is that a sitting president of the United States and his grown children and the First Lady are personally, I feel, personally, trying to ruin my life forever, forever.
So there's a little taste of the Democrats accepting the result of the last election. Of course, every day since then, they have cried Russiagate and conspiracy and threatened to impeach the president over historic sex claims, over non-existent Russian collusion, over obstructing justice or over Ukraine. They have done everything they could for almost 4 years to overturn, defeat and delegitimise the election result. And what are they saying now? They are warning that Trump won't accept the result again. He won't play the game, and here we go again. But with many states citing the pandemic to propose postal voting for everyone this year, Trump is rightly worried it could change the result. Voters could be bullied, ballots could be tampered with, and at the very least, the very nature of the contest and the number of votes that are cast could be affected. So Trump tweeted last night, our time, that universal mail-in voting could make it the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history and a great embarrassment to the USA. He suggested delaying the election until people can safely vote. Wow, talk about throwing political bombs. Trump can't really delay the election without Congress voting for it, and that won't happen. And within hours, he had backed down and suggested he'd already succeeded in getting people to discuss these difficult electoral issues. But these tensions bring me to something I reckon is deeply concerning. As the US election has this election at the time, they're having it at a time of social upheaval, health problems, political division, economic and racial tensions as well. And as I've summarised here, Trump has never really received that crucial loser's consent from the Democrats. So if he loses this election, many of his supporters will believe the political establishment that they elected him to sort out has unfairly chewed him up and spat him out. The reaction there could be very divisive. But if the Democrats lose, whether it's with Joe Biden or a replacement, if the Democrats lose, well, we've seen over the past 3.5 years how well they react to defeat. So you can expect fireworks with groups like Antifa at the fore. The Democratic challenge for the US is great, and everyone needs to understand the importance of losers' consent. It holds the line between order and chaos, between democracy and anarchy.